Have you ever wondered why it is illegal to use a mobile phone while driving? Many jurisdictions prohibit the use of handheld devices, while some even go so far as to prohibit the use of hands-free systems. What's the rationale behind this? What is the psychological justification for these laws? There are two main psychological processes we can relate to the link between driving and using a mobile phone. They are the dual processing theory and selective attention. Firstly, let's take a look at the dual processing theory. In the dual processing theory, processes that require attention use up limited cognitive resources. This theory outlines two different kinds of processes, automatic processes and cognitive processes. Schneider and Shiffrin defined automatic process as a process that is activated automatically without the necessity for active control or attention by the subject. They operate through a relatively permanent set of associative connections and require an appreciable amount of consistent training to develop fully. Essentially, an automatic process is a task that has been undertaken so often and has become so well practiced that it can now take place with little or no cognitive conscious guidance. Controlled processes, on the other hand, were defined as a temporary sequence of nodes activated under control of and through attention by the subject. Controlled processes are actions that require conscious thought and constant attention from the subject. They utilize a majority of a person's short-term memory and cognitive capacity. For example, when a person begins driving for the first time, they must pay a majority of their attention towards making sure that the vehicle is under their control and to looking out for potential danger. They must be constantly vigilant and attentive towards the road, the vehicle, and the outside conditions. This would be an example of driving as a controlled process. However, when a person has been driving for a while and has become proficient, they will not need to pay as much attention towards their driving. The neural links in their brain that relate to driving ability have become so strong as to not need conscious cognitive capacity to utilize. In this case, driving has become an automatic process. In this case, not being allowed to use mobile phones while driving is not justified, because, provided a driver has enough experience, they will be able to safely drive without having to pay full attention to the road, and can use their spare cognitive capacity to have a phone conversation, for example. However, in this case, a driver may become complacent with the driving ability and not be able to react fast enough when unexpected danger does arise. Next, let's move on to selective attention. Selective attention is simply the concept that the human brain is only able to concentrate on one thing at a time, subconsciously tuning out other irrelevant stimulus. In a study published in 1975, Ulrich Neisser and Robert Becklen of Cornell University conducted an experiment testing selective attention, which was published in the Journal of Cognitive Psychology. Two video screens were superimposed on top of each other. One of players passing a basketball, the ball game, and one of a game of two people slapping each other's hands, the hand game. Subjects were required to press a button whenever either the players passed the ball or when a hand was slapped. These instances were known as events. Subjects were tasked with pressing a button each time one of these events took place, depending on which episode they were tasked with watching. When required to follow action in one game while ignoring the other for 20 minutes, 12 subjects in total made a collective 65 mistakes out of 3,840 total events. They could do this, quote, without difficulty, even though both episodes were present in the same fully overlapped visual field. This was a miss rate of 1.693%. This shows that the human brain is amazingly good at blocking out one stimulus while focusing on another at the same time. Next, subjects were tasked with monitoring events in both episodes at the same time, with the same method. In this case, results were extremely different. In a 20-minute duration, subjects missed a total of 567 events out of 1,920. This was a miss rate of 29.531%. These results were replicated in a study in the Journal of Memory and Cognition by Robert Cervone in 1983. From these results, we can clearly and definitely conclude that the human brain is quite terrible at focusing on more than one thing at a time. But how does this relate to mobile phone use while driving? Well, simply put, we can equate driving to one of the two episodes used in the study, and mobile phone use to another, as they both require the full attention of an individual to use. You cannot have a conversation with anyone without paying full attention to them, and you can't drive safely without paying full attention to the road. So, when we use a mobile phone while driving, we are reducing our brain's capacity to concentrate on the road, similarly to how when both episodes were required to be watched together, neither was able to be fully comprehended. This results in a reduction in a person's driving ability and safety, and maybe, perhaps, an accident. Thanks for watching this video on the psychological justification of being unable to use mobile phones while driving. I've put all references in the description.